I wanted to make a second version of a reciprocal icosahedron, and I'll be showing the first version later in this video. But to get started on the new one, I need 30 strips of this 80-pound cover paper, which I'm hoping will be sturdier than the first version that I did. Each strip then needs 2 holes on each side so that it can be joined with 4 other strips. And for this I 3D printed a jig to let me punch those holes in the same place every time. Now we can begin assembly by joining the first hole on the top strip with the second hole on the bottom strip, and repeating this 5 times because each vertex in an icosahedron has 5 edges. To join each piece, I'm using regular thumbtacks that go through both holes. There are 5 per vertex and there are 12 vertices, so you need a total of 60. Each edge in an icosahedron usually meets at a single point forming the vertex, whereas in the reciprocal frame they are skewed and meet at the perimeter of a pentagon in this case. Here you can see the neighboring sets of 5 now form a triangular face, which is the face of the icosahedron. And also notice that each vertex twists clockwise in this case, and that should be maintained throughout the entire structure. And now, once we've formed the second triangle, you can see the angle deficiency in the entire structure makes it want to curl upwards on itself and begins to form the overall 3-dimensional structure. And at this point, you can kind of see where the problems are happening. The thumbtacks start to pop out. The solution I came up with was to use a small backing piece for each thumbtack that would hold it in place. And after trying a few different materials, the plastic from a takeout container turned out to fit snugly and hold everything in place. In order to put these on, I needed to pre-punch holes in the center of each one, and so I 3D printed a small jig that let me do 10 at a time. This worked out really great, and I only pricked myself a few times. Now I can go back and add these to the existing connections. And that's the last piece in. The only issue is that it's still very floppy. Here's the first version I did from a lighter weight cardstock and joining them with a 2-part 3D printed rivet which had a gap between the two pieces, the thickness of 2 pieces of paper. In order to save our new creation from its own floppiness, I decided to hang it from the ceiling, and to do so I wanted a nice way to attach each vertex to a single leader line of thread. So here I'm tying a quintuple alpine butterfly knot. These are typically tied 2 or 3, but you can tie them as many loops as you need. And so you begin with the first strand, loop as many loops as you want, add an extra one, bring the first strand over, and then you need to grab the top line of each of your loops and pass it underneath your 2 other strands. And then you just have to pull those 2 lines and you have 5 loops. And so I'll attach 1 loop to each thumbtack. And it ends up looking kind of like a kite bridle. And so here's the finished product. I ended up using 6 attachment points to pull it into shape, and I think it turned out okay.